Hi guys, how are you? Thank you so much guys for always supporting me. This is exciting. This is making me even wish to do this more. So yes, today is another day. I'm actually from work. I'm seated in my car. I just want to do a quick one because so many of you have been asking me so many questions about the carer pathway to move to Australia to work here through the 482 visa. And I thought, like, okay, cool, I've done a little bit of research just to keep you updated for the things that keep on revolving around all the space of the care industry pathway. So wow, there's a lot. I know one thing with you guys, you all know that this sort of pathway just came up the other day when all of us were thinking of the care visa, but instead the government with the organization and the unions came up with this memorandum to make it easier, or to create this pathway so that they can help to solve the shortage that we are having in the care industry. So yes, every day we get new information, and that is why I keep on telling you guys on my inbox, let's be patient, let's try and start doing our skill assessment as we wait to see maybe where this is heading. I know there's expectation that things could look different with time, especially around the expectation that they're going to set just regarding these carer opportunity pathway to work here. So let's start here. I'm going just to try and make this video a very short one, so just bear with me in case we don't meet that expectation of being short. Wow, my name is Lizzie. In case this is the first time you are dropping here, give this video a thumbs up. This is where we talk about moving to Australia. I live in South Australia, and most of the time I talk very positive things about this country. So yes, where do we start? So many people have been asking me about which specific visa is this, the care visa, because I think most of you jumped onto the Home Affairs and were looking for the care visa, the carer visa. But there's one thing that I want to clarify here. This is not like a care, it's not a carer visa, or it's not like a visa by itself. It is just a pathway that has been attached to the 482 visa. Pardon me, I know the cars are crossing by, but that is all good. I hope you guys can hear me. So this is just a pathway that the government and the organization, the aged cares, the disability sectors, and the unions came up, created a memorandum to make these effective, so that people can actually come and work into carer industry, because they are experiencing a massive shortage in that sort of industry. Okay, so it is not a visa by its own. What it is just a pathway that you can use to move into Australia through the 482 visa. On my previous video, I have mentioned about the 482 visa. And with the 482 visa, we have 3 different streams. So maybe this is, you can take this chance, maybe if you just jump onto my other video and just to familiarize it, to be sure what we are talking about. So I will explain a little bit more for some of you to be in the same position with me. So with the 482 visa, it is divided into 3. There's one stream that will allow you to move here under the labor agreement, whereby you get someone who can sponsor you to come and work in Australia. So this pathway for carer visa is linked to that stream. Okay, I hope you got me. So, and the good thing with this is you can even move to Australia if you're 50 years old. It has no limit when it comes to age on this stream. Okay, because it's a labor agreement. right? You need just to get a sponsor, someone who can give you work. You need to meet all the requirements, and then you submit the visa. I highly believe that if you fall under this stream, the employer most of the time will pay for all the expenses, or maybe they will compensate you the expenses that you've used during your visa when you're moving here, because they are the one asking you to move here to work for them. Okay, so if you're 40 years, if you're 50 years, you can jump onto the Home Affairs, check for the 482 visa. Make sure you are in the government portal to ensure that you're reading the immigration information. To clarify this, I am not a migration agent. Anything I say here, you need to jump onto the website, do your research to ensure that you're getting the right information. I try as much as possible to give you information that are up to date, but it is your duty to ensure that you are doing research. Wow, so that is the first part that I wanted to clarify. The second part is this: so many people they have already jumped onto the payment, and so many of us are so worried with the amount that they mentioned on the Care Pathway visa. So I know they mentioned about this. It was either $51,222. That was $51,222 per year. Okay, for those one who live in Australia, someone like me, I know that is very little to keep you going here in this country, especially if you have a family, especially if you need to pay for your bills. It is close to impossible for you to be able to live a decent life with that kind of salary. Wow. So I am not so sure, but there are so many things that we need to pull together just to make sure that we are understanding this. One, there is a minimal requirement wages when it comes to whenever the government is coming up with how they are setting the the salary and the base rate and how much the minimal base rate that someone should be paid. That is what they mentioned here. They say the minimal base rate. So that is not like if you're moving here, that is not what they're going to pay you, because if you calculate that is like $20 an hour. Honestly, I don't know anyone who earns $20 an hour. For people who work in disability, I worked in disability. I used to be paid about $40. That was on Monday to Friday. Well, it was either $40, $39 in the morning. On Saturday, I was paid, I think, about $55. And on Sunday, I was paid about $75. That was when I was starting this care role. So I also know that some of people who work in aged care, they're paid about $36 on a normal Monday to Friday in the morning. Because what happens in Australia is what you're paid in the morning on Monday to Friday increases when it comes to afternoon shift. So most of the morning shift start, let's say, from 7 a.m. to 3. Some will start from 6 to 2. It depends, okay? Other shifts start from either 2 to 10. Okay, these are logical part of, like, most of shifts look like this. Other shifts will start maybe from 10 to 11 p.m. So that is called afternoon shift. Then there's night shift. Okay, night shift could maybe start, some company have night shift from 8 to maybe 7 a.m. Those are long shift. Some will have from midnight to 7 or to 9 a.m. It all depends. So with what I know, I have never come across anyone paid $20 an hour. So saying that and having that in mind, I know that was just a basic, the minimal wages that you can get paid, of which I don't know anyone who get paid such like amount of money. Anyway, another thing is with the 482 visa, I think I've clarified with the salary part. And if you're liking this video, just give it a thumbs up. Let me know where you're watching me from. Let me know how you think and how you feel about all these things. So another thing is I want to inform you guys that with the 482 visa, you can move here with your spouse, with your family. Okay, it is only you who will be working under that contract sort of visa, like not sort of visa, that sort of role. If you are the main applicant, you can bring in your dependents. I know I've also discussed some more information about moving here with the dependents, I will leave a link of all these previous videos so that you guys can go and watch to get an overall view on how things look like when we are talking about dependents on your visa. Okay, these are the people like maybe your spouse, your children. They can join you here to Australia and live with you on your main visa. Okay, so they become your dependent. I think I will leave a link here. So they can come here with you if you have a wife, or maybe if you have a husband. They could be working in whatever role they want. Maybe they can look for another job as you concentrate on working as a carer. You know, the main visa that brought you here, it was a carer visa. So you will have to work there as you wait for 2 years for you to apply for permanent residency. So your partner on this other side could be working on a different sort of role. Okay, so that is the most important part of this. So if you're having a partner, if you have a family, you don't want to feel like you're being disintegrated from them, you don't want to be separated, take an initiative, move here, come with them. It is gonna look good. They will also help you to, you know, to navigate around, to pay bills. They can also work and earn. It is very easy to live in Australia if you have someone that can work collaboratively with you, because yeah, you know, those little effort, they make a big impact at the end of the day. So another thing, some of us are so much into questions of Lizzie, I did my certificate on some website. I know I don't want to mention all those websites, but most of the websites that most of you guys are talking about are the UK websites where you can do the trainings for free and get a certificate 3, get a certificate 2, I don't know, a diploma, what. I know that is there, and I'm very aware. I know even there's a time I used to tell people to familiarize themselves with those sort of training if they cannot pay for, you know, for the trainings in their own country or here in Australia. But at this point, there is a requirement, especially for those one who are coming to work here on a disability sector. You know, if you're coming through that pathway, because you can either move here as an aged care worker or a disability worker, you know, you need to know that there is a requirement during your skill assessment. And I know I have already discussed the skill assessment, and I mentioned there are only 2 bodies that have been identified at this point which can do the skill assessment part when it comes to the carer pathway. So there's ANMAC and there's ACWA. And ACWA will deal with the specific people, and ANMAC will deal with the specific people. So I've mentioned these. I've also mentioned about the payment and how much, you know, I've shown you on my previous video how you can navigate and how you can do the skill assessment. I know one of the requirements, especially if you've been working in the community as a disability support worker, or if you're giving your experiences with a minimum requirement of certificate 3 in disability, you will need to provide the evidence that you did the work placement. Okay, the work placement, I know some people, especially from my country, they call it attachment. So you will need to identify yourself with an organization that offer a similar sort of role, and you will need to provide documentation to show that you actually did an attachment, rather a placement with them for 210 hours. That is a requirement here in Australia. Like you need to make sure that whatever you are taught there meets the standards of Australian certificates. And now this is where I come in. Lizzie comes in here. So previously I have mentioned that I'm working with some organization that provide the training, certificate 3 training. Some are providing certificate 4, some are providing, you know, this thing, because even in my country we have started embracing the care role. We are looking after our people living with disability. It has come into the attention of the government that we also need to embrace the human right part when it comes to the vulnerable people. And I know some of the organizations that are actually offering this sort of training. I'm actually working with one. In case maybe you are in my country, you can actually do this sort of training. It meets Australian standards. it meets Australian standards. You will need to just get a training, not a training, a placement in either an aged care, in a palliative, in a palliative sort of home care where they look after people, in their end of life. You'll be supporting them, maybe, the kind of the role that carers do is to ensure that, you are helping them with the grooming, cooking for them, feeding them, being there for, their emotional support, helping them to go for shopping, helping them to shower. These are the things that we do when you are a carer. So we will need you to enroll maybe with us, and you can actually go and do your placement. You will meet the minimal requirement of a Certificate 3 in aged care and disability with a placement. So maybe this could be something interesting from wherever you are. Maybe you're in a different city and a place where you can do this sort of role. You can go there, do your placement attachment. After 2 months, maybe you're done. You will need a supervisor. You will need someone to supervise you to make sure that you're doing the right thing, so that you end up meeting the minimal requirement for the carer pathway for the 482 visa. Are we together? Okay, so moving forward, wow, I know so many of you guys, you're so into this, and you keep on asking questions. Some of you are a little bit confused. Lizzie, where can I start? On my previous video, I have actually discussed on what you need to do. Your first go. What do you need to do at the moment? The first thing I mentioned was about the skill assessment. That is the requirement. There's nothing you can do regarding this pathway without the skill assessment. So you will need to jump onto my previous video, check what I've mentioned there, apply for skill assessment. I mentioned on my previous video that you don't require to do English for you to submit for skill assessment with either ANMAC or ACWA. Yeah, so maybe go do that, see how you go with that, and then you can proceed. The second part I said was about looking for a job, a sponsor who can actually offer you a job. I've been jumping onto website that offer jobs here, and I check if I can get any sponsors at this point with the MOU is it contract agreement, but I couldn't find any. So I know this is something that has just come into the market at this point. Maybe we can give it some time. If you don't find them at this point, it is a process. They also need to get into a process of signing all this. Maybe in 2 months time, all this could be here. Who knows? But I know of some of people who've already jumped into going through this carer pathway, who are living here in Australia. So this is a time that maybe just take your chance, apply for the skill assessment, see how you go, because it's also going to take a little bit of time. Just see how you go. Again, I'm your lady Lizzie. I want to see you guys moving here. In case you need any sort of maybe counseling, just a chat, I'm a big sister that you can look onto when it comes to the matter around or revolving Australia. I know a little bit of information with the fact that I'm not a migration agent, but maybe 1 or 2 words could help you. Anyway, there's a lot that I still need to do concerning the news that came out for the July 1st. There's so much that I need to consume and digest before I come outside here and tell you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. If you've never considered maybe subscribing to my YouTube channel, this is the time. You don't need to miss this. Support me, motivate me. Let me know what you think about. Let me just know what you think about what we do here. You can see people walking. It's already evening. I need to drive home. Peace. I'll see you next time.